This episode of Forging Friendships is sponsored in part by Iron Mountain Metalcraft, located in the beautiful Pigeon Forge, Tennessee area. Go forge a memory with Forged in Fire fan favorite Robbie Bowman. Woo! The show is also sponsored in part by African Custom Knives, Black Dragon Forge, Paragon Kilns, and with the support of viewers like you through our GoFundMe campaign, link in description.
We decided to break for lunch. What better to do in Texas in summer than sit out in the nice humidity and sweat? The original Tookies was about a mile down the road, and I believe they started in 1981 or 82.
So well, not this location, but the other location is one that you grew up with.
Right.
That's your go-to home restaurant spot.
Right. I got pictures of me in my Little League uniform coming here after games back in the early 80s, you know. So I was born here. I grew up in a quick area. I moved away, went to college, a few jobs, worked in College Station, but now I'm right back in the old stomping grounds. All the neighborhoods we passed coming here were all the NASA homes and such. My dad was the ground controller for NASA, Johnson Space Center.
So you grew up the quintessential space kid.
I was. We have some pretty neat stuff. Unfortunately, my sister and I tore up a lot of stuff I see going on auctions now for thousands of dollars. And I'm like, man, I remember accidentally ripping the head off our Apollo 11 Snoopy, you know. I remember growing up, my dad'd be gone sometimes. They'd do 36-hour and 48-hour simulations for a lot of the Apollo missions where, you know, again, he was ground controller. I always laughed. For all the Apollo missions, he was in a separate room as ground controller. All you see is the flight controller and the lead controllers, and they get the limelight. Until the rocket blasts off, the ground controller is the one in control. He's got his finger on the abort button.
That's where we have liftoff. That's that transition of power.
Right.
Ground control now switches to flight control.
T-minus 3, 2, 1.
My job's done. I'm going home. You take over.
So growing up with all the shuttle astronaut kids and mission control people, that's when they transitioned, redesigned all the Johnson Space Center, had all the controls in one room. But growing up, you know, it was neat. You know, I got to go visit him at work, would get into, back then, you know, clearance was a little bit different.
A little more relaxed.
Dad got a TS clearance. We got in, we got to, you know, look at, you know, all the satellite imagery. Of course, nobody goes, oh, what you're looking at right there is one of our satellites flying over this section of, we get into that. But, you know, we got to go visit pretty neat places. It was before all the Uber security now, you know.
Yeah.
I love telling my dad's story. You know, he came up, we always laugh, he was a pig farmer in Ohio, started selling vacuum cleaners door to door because the Hoover factory was in North Canton, Ohio. Well, he's not a football Hall of Famer, so the other option is vacuum salesman. He didn't like that, so he joined the Navy. That's what people did. He was born in 1932. To be able to say, you know, my dad came up through the Navy and was a ground controller for NASA without having a formal college education. I mean, that's, you know, if that doesn't really set the stage for working hard to get what you want, be somewhere, I mean, what does?
Right.
I probably don't tell my parents enough of that, hey, you know, I really respect where you came from and what you were able to achieve in your lifetime. And you can only imagine some of the crap I had to deal with. So I learned to bottle everything up.
Sure.
So I was the one that I didn't go out like some of these mouthy people. I was the quiet one that just sat there. But don't effing piss me off.
I'll snap.
When I snap, it's not pretty. So I had kind of some anger management issues. You know, I'll admit that.
It's a common theme with most of us blacksmiths, bladesmiths. We have a short fuse.
I was always in AP classes, advanced classes, got to skip a grade in school, and it was funny because you're always in there with these guys that were your stereotypical smart guys. And I was always like the one in the corner thinking, what can I do with this knowledge? Ended up in the alternative learning center. Kind of like, you know, you send adults to prison, you send kids to ALC to really learn this stuff. I was in there because, yeah, they found some stuff I shouldn't have had in a car. So I learned to manipulate the system early.
Right.
I still have kind of an aggressive personality, but I learned a lot about, you know, when it's okay to just freaking lose it and when it's not.
Right.
And, you know, understanding that there's some things you got to work on and learning to work on those really helps. Now we're all by ourselves. We've been abandoned. Started off at A&M. I was up for a naval scholarship. They ended up handing them the two kids that had the highest SAT score anyway. So I'd been accepted to like George Washington and USC and places like that, thinking I'm going to go on a full ride naval scholarship. Didn't get it. And here we are in the middle of summer, and it's like, huh,
What am I doing?
So I had forwarded my SAT scores to several state universities too. I'd been in the Clear Lake, Houston area. I kind of wanted to go somewhere different. I actually wanted to go to UT Austin until I visited Austin, and it just wasn't my cup of tea. I didn't care for the campus. It was spread out. It was too busy. And it was another one. I'd forwarded my SAT scores, and I got a letter that said, come check us out. Show us up for an orientation. We have one more left, mid-August. So I showed up. I was hanging out in the hot tub at the hotel the first day of orientation. Didn't bother to show up. Showed up the second day. Guess I'm an Aggie. So I'm sitting there for a year and a half taking hardcore math classes. First semester of my sophomore year. Hi, I'm Don. I'm thinking orbital trajectory analysis. The teacher, professor, actually laughed and said, no, really, what do you want to teach? No, really, I'd like to work for NASA, and they preferentially take math majors over the others for the analytical skills, and I'm really interested in orbital analysis. We're just like, oh.
You're a little different.
Yeah. Note to self, first row, third seat.
Yeah.
Problem child. I'd always been fascinated by Godzilla movies. Radiation just, I don't know, back in school they'd bring out the radioactive stuff. I was always just, I wanted to know more. Then I'm up at A&M, and it's like, what, here y'all have like #2 nuclear engineering program. So I went to the College of Science, and I walked in, and I'm like, she's like, uh-oh. Turned to the dean and said, we have another one with withdrawal papers in his hand. So I walked up, and she looks at me, she pulls it up, she's like, well, your grades are fine. Because, well, you left that blank, you have to fill out the reason for withdrawal. So I wrote on there, don't want to be math major anymore. She looks at it, she goes, I don't know if we can accept that. So she brings it into the dean of the College of Science. All you hear is laughter coming out. He walks out, still laughing. He goes, you know, this is probably the best reason I've seen all week. So, yeah. He goes, where are you thinking of going? I said, nuclear engineering.
Done.
I wish you luck. Give him his file. I walk over to nuclear engineering, other side of campus, walk in. Same thing, you walk in, the secretary looks at you and goes, uh-oh, coming in or going out? Coming in, ma'am. On probation? No, ma'am. Have a seat. So boom, I became a nuclear engineering. At that time, no one was really hiring nuclear engineers. So I looked at it, it's like, if I look at the catalog right, I only have to take 2 classes to get a second bachelor's. So again, I got to meet the dean of engineering. Same thing, his secretary says, but you have a bachelor's, why do you want to get a second one? You didn't double major. Like, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but all I need are 2 more classes. The dean looks at it and goes, okay. He's right. He's done his homework. There's nothing stopping him. Then he looks at me and said, now you understand, I'm not giving you a second bachelor's, only making you take biology and biology lab. You're gonna take another couple classes. Your catalog is out of date. Here's what we'll do for you. So we all sat down between he, the dean of the College of Engineering, or I'm sorry, the department head of nuclear engineering, and the dean, and said, all right, let's come up with a program for Don. Now we went from what makes a reactor go to how do we protect people building these systems.